Welcome to LSD, the podcast where we talk to my friends, my strangers, and everything in between about the most psychedelic experience that we call the human condition or the human experience. So I got my friend here, Steven. I haven't talked to him in I don't know.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. It's been
I don't know how many years. But
10 years probably or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Time
So
blindness is real.
yes, it is. And so but you had a really cool background, and I met you, saw you back at a friend's wedding, and so it's just like, hey, would you like to come on the podcast and talk? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so we're just going to be talking about your life, how you got to where you are,
Didn't die.
high level overview. Yeah, you didn't die.
I'm still surviving.
That's very true. And then you're gonna bring a song to us, and then
Yeah, that'll be
to
fun
listen.
when we get to that part because I haven't really decided yet.
Okay,
I got
cool.
a whole list of ones.
Sweet. I love it. And then death as well. How life, your view on death, afterlife, all the above, things like that. So let's have some fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess where were you born? I don't know anything about your life. Like we only
Where did
hung
you
out
come
for a
from?
couple
The
years.
sewers.
Yeah. Yes.
No, so I was born in Hawaii,
Whoa.
Navy family,
Okay.
and I've got several siblings, and we were all born all over the place.
Yeah.
I was only there for 18 months, so I don't remember it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, there's a VHS floating around somewhere of me eating sand on the beach. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Virginia Beach, interestingly enough, and was there for, I don't know, 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have even went to kindergarten or first grade there.
Mm.
I don't know the exact timeline. And then after that we moved to Alabama. And that's what I call home. That's where I mainly grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where most of my family is now. And I don't really have too much of a Southern accent. But that's because, again, hanging out in Virginia for a little bit. But you get a drink or two in me. Sometimes some words can come out.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Used to could is probably my favorite one.
What?
Used to could?
Used to could.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Jeff Foxworthy does a number on it. It's like, I used to could dance, but I can't no more.
Oh, used to.
I used to be able to.
Okay. I was like, what is this? I was like, what the hell is this word you saying?
Yeah. No, you don't realize it until you're around people that look at you funny when you say it.
Yeah, used to could.
So yes, I did grow up in Alabama, and yeah.
Wow. So you were there for how long before you moved to? Oh, you were there majority of your life. You said.
Yeah.
So you were in Virginia Beach before that, and then Alabama.
Yeah.
What brought you back to Virginia then?
Once I graduated college and got the job at the shipyard.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah. I was there for, I remember 5th and 6th grade. So I was there probably before then.
Mm-hmm.
High school, college, graduated, and then a little short stint in Zambia for 18 days, and then moved to Virginia.
And that was after college, Zambia.
Yeah.
Why'd you go over there?
Engineers Without Borders.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Totally worth doing. If anybody gets a chance to travel anywhere farther than they've been, it's a great thing. You don't realize you have a small worldview
Totally.
until it gets blown open.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a thing. We had all graduated, and it was just like, I think they teamed up with an international construction company,
Mm-hmm.
and they were building a facility for CFAT. Like that could be wrong, but it's a charitable organization that is training people how to, make little efficient wood stoves, how to dig your own wells.
Oh, cool.
That type of thing. Rather than going and doing the things, it's teaching local people how,
Uh-huh.
training them up and sending them back so that they can then do it that way. And they were flying people all the way over to America to train them. And so they wanted to put something over on the continent of Africa.
Totally.
And Zambia was the location, which is kind of Central Africa.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we teamed up with that company, went on this whole trip. It was great.
Yeah.
So many things happened on that trip. It was crazy. Um, and so, I mean, they didn't really need a bunch of engineers fresh out of college to engineer anything.
Yeah.
Um, they knew what they were doing, but I think it was just the whole like charitable part of it.
Got it.
But we did get to help out a little bit. And we got to experience Zambia, got to see Victoria Falls.
That's cool.
Dude, I did not know things.
That's a lot of water.
It was so crazy because it's super wide.
Yeah.
And then the it's like the ground split perpendicular to the river.
Oh, weird.
You know, like how you can have a canyon. It looks like,
Yep.
you know, there's a center line to it. It's perpendicular to the river. So there was all these like things you could walk out on.
Oh,
They're
weird.
way high up, but like really close to the waterfall. Really sketchy. There was mist everywhere. And I didn't know if like there was another level down there or just my death. Like I couldn't see.
Yeah.
But people are going around and whether you had a poncho, an umbrella, it did not matter what you had. You got wet
Mm-hmm.
just from the water.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot of water. Isn't it one of the 7 wonders of the world?
It is.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I didn't know that till I was there.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's my homeschool education there for you.
Nice.
Knowing one of the 7 wonders. I don't know what other ones are. Great Wall of China. Is Taj Mahal one?
Yeah, there's a quiz. You're being tested right now.
I know.
I don't know any of them besides that one.
I would like to say Grand Canyon, but I doubt it.
Yeah. So, anyways, the
yeah.
whole experience was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Kenya when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my parents took me over there. They were just visiting a pastor that they were financially supporting. And they were like, come on over. So
That's
the
awesome.
following summer, my parents and my brother and I went over there and hung out for 10 days. And so exactly what you said. It's you don't know what you don't know until you experience it.
Yep.
And then my God. Especially at a young age like mine, I'm like,
shoot.
whenever I want to complain about something or I had a hard day or whatever, I always just think back to Kenya and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
Shut up. It's not that bad. You got running water.
Yeah, no, it was great. So we were actually, so over there trying to like organize my thoughts. Everybody's cool during the day. Like everybody's nice, easygoing.
Yeah.
But at night is when sketchy things happen.
Yeah.
Right. But even the police can be dirty. Like it's not nothing's really well governed.
Yeah.
You know, and so every house or hotel or anything has an 8-foot brick wall around it.
Okay.
With
sounds
crushed
like
glass and barbed wire at the top.
Yeah. Sounds like Mexico City.
Yeah, they keep people out during the night. So even if you're building a house, you build a wall first.
Oh.
Otherwise, the copper and the woods, all of them disappear like in the first night.
Right. Wow.
And so we were helping them build the wall for this center.
Uh-huh.
You know, and so it was all of us, you know, freshly out of college students. And then a couple local Zambian guys. And I made friends with a guy named Webby.
Nice.
Dude was a riot. He was awesome. He was a Zambian carpenter. And I don't know if you've ever laid concrete block. I didn't, but I've worked with my hands since I was like 3.
Right.
So it's pretty simple. You put up a string
to
make a straight wall, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't ever touch the string with the brick because as soon as you touch it, you move it.
Huh.
And if you continue to touch it, you'll just have this wall that just keeps arching outward.
Okay, got it.
And that's what was happening because nobody that went there had actually laid the block. They might be able to do the math on how much weight it could hold.
Totally.
But they didn't have the skilled trade. And so me and Webby teamed up and we laid the first row and we just blazed a trail ahead of everybody so that at least the base row of bricks was straight.
Right.
And we were just like around the whole thing.
So everyone just lay on top of yours.
And then everybody else was like, you know, doing however many layers high.
Wow.
Behind us. And Webby that dude is awesome. And so this is one of those things, like, you just don't know what's ever going to happen. And I was like, hey, Webby, you got any wood that I can take back with me?
Yeah,
If he's a carpenter, like,
totally.
there's probably some local
It's a cool ass tree.
sawmill or
Yeah.
something. Sure enough, this guy brings me the equivalent of a 4x4. They're probably about 3 feet long, I think. It was 100 millimeter square, but close enough to a 4x4.
Okay.
You know, it's metric.
I was like, whatever metric that is.
3 pieces, 3 feet long, and it's called Mukwa, Mukwa.
Okay.
It's like probably a local mahogany. And I put that stuff in a duffel bag and brought it back.
No way.
I thought customs was gonna take that away from me.
I would have thought.
Oh man, yeah. Somebody got onto somebody about some piece of fruit, and I'm walking there with this big bag of wood, and they're like, "You're cool." I'm like, I had that, and I picked up a drum from somewhere, and like brought all that back with me. I still haven't used it yet. I'm going to make a drum out of it.
I guess it's not because it's not like perishable, but then again, it could be because like you do have some.
If it was a wild piece of, like, if it was a green piece of wood, very possible.
Yeah.
Even a non-green piece of wood, like.
Because I was thinking, because like bugs and things could be embedded in it. So then I was like, well, it could be not because it's not fruit and things. But then I was like, but bugs are living trees too. So never mind on that one.
Yep.
Wow.
So far, nothing's crazy has popped out of it.
No world disasters. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you went to school for
material science and engineering.
Okay.
That's the title.
Yeah.
we shorten it to materials engineering.
Got it. And then now you are in like metallurgy.
Well, I call myself a metallurgist.
Okay.
The role I'm in now at the company, the title is process engineer.
Okay.
Or senior process engineer, which is a fairly common thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of places even have a metallurgy like title, and not a lot of universities even offer metallurgy anymore. A lot of the schools have transitioned to material science. So material science covers metals and alloys, but also composites, polymers, ceramics, anything that you can consider a material.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into structure, processing, and property relationships. So you're good. I'm over here trying not to burp into the mic.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you said you were at shipyard, and then now where are you now? So what are you doing now?
I work for an aluminum company.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, they take in scrap aluminum, melt it down, turn it into new sheet for gutters and siding.
Wow.
Yeah, the company has multiple facilities.
Yeah.
Some facilities produce can stock that you Coke cans and everything are made out of.
Yep.
Some produce the sheet that goes on automobiles. Some produce gutters and siding. There's huge aluminum industry, and it's way cheaper to recycle it than it is to make new aluminum.
I heard like a stat that there was like only like 15% of stuff gets actually recycled and things.
Roughly 15% of plastics are actually
plastics.
Recycled.
Okay, plastics, not metals.
I don't know what the actual number is for metals, but it's way higher.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
I would guess in the 60s or 70s.
Okay,
but people still throw stuff away. I mean, if you think about, you wad up your piece of aluminum foil and you throw it in the trash,
So if I had like a burger in a aluminum foil or whatever, has all the juices and all that stuff on it, and then I recycle it, is that able to be used, or because it has the juices on there, it's not?
100%, and that is the actual crux of the issue. So metals are basically infinitely recyclable.
Right.
A lot of the aluminum companies are running with that right now, but it's really all metals. Plastics, the main reason that it's cheaper to make new plastic than it is to recycle. So there's not a natural driving force, right?
That makes sense.
Big corporations want to make money.
Absolutely.
That's an easy one to see.
Yeah.
Secondly, there's so many different types of plastic, right?
Oh, yeah.
polypropylene, polyethylene, high density polyethylene, polystyrene. I mean, all these crazy
And I see all on the recycle,
with a little number.
the number on it.
Yeah, which
All the different numbers and things.
that was a whole fake thing, anyways.
Oh, really?
The numbers do line up.
Oh, okay.
The numbers line up with the different plastics. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
But that was somebody's own symbol. It's not the actual this is recyclable symbol.
Oh.
It's just it's kind of like a fatter triangle with no numbers.
Oh.
With the arrows.
That's so great.
Yeah, no. And that I don't know if that was part of the ploy or not. There's plenty of podcasts about that. Like it's really interesting. And even if you recycle all of your stuff.
Yeah.
Usually, if you watch closely, like if they've got like at airports or anywhere where you've got the recycle bin and the trash bin, when the guy comes to pick up the trash, he throws both bags in the same bucket.
Totally, and then take that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it makes it to a recycling facility, still only 15% is going to make it to actually being recycled.
Because they're pulling out stuff that has been juicy stuff on it.
And so you've got the juicy leftovers that you have to clean off.
Yeah.
You've got the label, which is probably a different material than the body. You've got the cap that's a different material.
Oh, God. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to make this one specific type of plastic, you want just that going into it.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to separate it all and then wash it all.
That's a lot of manpower.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And then, plastics, you're only 200-300 degrees that you're processing them. So all of aluminum melts at 1100. So all your juicy little riblets and giblets, it all dies. It all burns off and just floats to the surface. Now the cleaner the better. So if you were to say you wanted to start scrapping your aluminum foil, I mean, definitely collect soda cans and take them to the dump. Not the dump, but the scrap yards, right?
Yep.
If you wanted to include the foil, rinsing it off is just nice because they go by weight. Now, so you could wrap a piece of aluminum foil around a rock, and just lie to them.
Yep.
That's not cool. But all the little stuff on it, and so they kind of have ratings. I don't know exactly what they are, but the dirtier it is, the less you get per pound.
Okay.
That's why you see a lot of people scrapping aluminum and copper wire. They try to get the plastic off of it.
Right.
Because that's just weight.
Right.
So if you can give them clean copper wire, you're going to get more per pound.
Got it.
But sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does. But regardless, all of it's going into a furnace.
At X degrees
aluminum
hot.
melts at 1100. Usually you process it around 1400. Copper melts at 2000. You're usually processing at 2300.
Jeez.
Steel melts at around 27, and you usually process around 3000, 3100.
How does that get that hot? Like, what's the process?
Aluminum, it's natural gas or electric.
Okay.
Resistance heating.
Electric gets that hot.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's different types of electric.
Okay.
So you've got electric resistance, which is basically your toaster oven.
Yeah.
Or your oven at home, your electric water heater. You have this wire inside there that is...
Yep.
It doesn't conduct electricity well, so it heats up when you pass electricity through it.
Right. I have had to take my the heating element out of my dryer twice now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so
if you can find the break and just connect it back together, it'll get you by for anywhere from a day to 6 months.
Wow.
Until it pops back apart.
Okay.
Done that multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, I just buy another $20 one on Amazon and just keep on rolling.
There you go.
4 screws and keep on rolling because it's cheap.
So that's resistance heating.
Okay.
Then you have induction and electric arc.
Okay.
So induction, you might have seen some of the induction cooktops. That's probably the closest people are going to get to it.
Is that the one, like the other giant spiral thing?
Yeah, there's a spiral.
Yeah.
But it's electromagnetic.
Oh. Okay.
So it itself doesn't get hot. Oftentimes it's water cooled just to make sure it doesn't, get hot from the radiant heat.
Yeah.
And it has an alternating magnetic field. So basically the power to it keeps flipping back and forth at an adjustable frequency.
Okay.
And that causes all the atoms just to rub up against each other, and then it just melts itself.
Huh.
It's magic. magic. It's straight up magic.
Yeah, I was like, that does sound like magic.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's like the just like the flat top, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like the old school.
Yeah. Old school's
thick-
resistance.
Okay.
That glows red.
Yes.
The induction ones, that you won't ever see them glow red. And so you can have it on there. It won't be hot at all. And then you put something metal on it and it'll get hot.
Freaking weird.
Yeah.
Black magic for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magnetism is magic still to me. And then there's electric arc furnaces, which are mostly used in just steel making. In which case, it's basically a giant welder.
Okay.
So you have a lot of electricity. I mean, a lot of electricity. Like the power company knows when you turn these things on.
Oh, wow.
Because all their needles move. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so...
And that's be used for steel?
Yeah. And so basically, most of them are three-phase. So you have three giant graphite electrodes that are anywhere from 12 to like 14 inches in diameter and like 30 feet tall.
Go.
And then come down through the roof and they just arc on the metal. And there's just lightning bolts flying off the end of these things. I mean, just lightning bolts.
Actual, like, pretty much. Yeah.
I'll have to show you some videos later.
Absolutely.
You can feel the floor shake. And it's just this super high pitch electrical squeal, and it makes me so happy. You are basically in the depths of hell.
Yeah.
And and then sparks are flying.
Yeah.
And it just
Nikola Tesla style. Nikola Tesla style.
Oh, straight up.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd be like, this is a proper use.
Yeah.
At one place I did an internship at, we would melt 20 tons of steel in 45 minutes.
20 tons of steel?
Yeah. In 45 minutes. And there's places like steel mills can do 200 tons of steel in like the same amount of time.
Oh my God.
It's asinine.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of heat.
A lot of space.
Yeah. No, their electric arc furnaces are fun.
Whoa. Yeah, because I've seen like my battery in my car arc.
Yeah.
If I have
that's
like a.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That's like 1/1,000,000th of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Because they attached the whatever.
Yeah.
Wrong or not wrong, but like there was a little wetness on there or whatever.
Well, generally they'll always spark when you connect a load to them.
Yeah.
But,
Wow. Huh.
So regardless of how dirty your metal is,
it'll just go.
The dirt or anything on it is either going to burn up or just float to the top and can be skimmed off. But then you get into alloys. And so aluminum is not just aluminum. Most of the aluminum is a mixture. So and you got different grades. It's like saying cake versus vanilla cake, chocolate cake.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
It's like aluminum, silicon's the second next one. It usually has zinc, copper, manganese, nickel, magnesium. Sometimes you can have a little trace elements of calcium and lithium.
And that's all just like a combo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most metals you encounter are all alloys.
And so it's like if you're saying like a aluminum foil that you wrap up burger, whatever, that's an alloy more than an actual aluminum.
Yeah. Occasionally with the foils because they want to be malleable, they usually use either 8000 or 1000 series. Okay. 8000 is aluminum iron. So it has a little bit of iron in it.
Yeah.
And then the 1000 is mainly like your more pure aluminum series.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah. You can look up all these designations, 4-digit designations for the rod alloys, 3 digits for the cast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then steel, the same thing, even just mild average steel has, iron, carbon, silicon, manganese, nickel. And then you hear people talk about chrome moly steel, or chrome vanadium steel on their sockets. Mm-hmm. Those are the alloying elements, chromium and vanadium. Just a little sprinkle of both of those in there in the stew.
So you went to school for all this? Or did you learn a lot of it as you were going along?
So this is a great question. So like I said, I tinkered with stuff ever since I was little.
Yeah.
Loved taking things apart, loved building things. Right. And I got introduced to cast iron, molten cast iron, when I was 16. So again, I none of this could I have planned. So my art professor, he took a field trip, took us on a field trip to Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
and they do cast iron sculpture there.
That's cool.
Totally.
Because I've seen like burn the glass competition on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's
I
called.
don't know, but I think I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Blown Away. That's it.
Blown away.
Blown away because it's blown glass. Blown away. So that's cool. So metal sculpting, not sculpting, it's metal.
Yeah, no, it's sculpture.
Sculpture. Okay,
But
metal sculpture.
you don't. Metal is really fluid. It's as fluid as water.
If it's
most
hot
people-
enough.
Once it's liquid.
Okay.
Think about mercury.
Yeah.
Like most people imagine like metal as lava, but lava is a molten rock. It's a more of a glass.
Right.
Molten metal is just as fluid as water. Will flow just like water. Will splash just like water.
Yikes.
Yeah, it comes after you. And so they had these small furnaces, small relatively speaking, compared to the industrial ones, called cupola furnaces.
Okay.
And they are basically vertical shaft type furnace lined with refractory. Refractory is a high temperature ceramic designed for the job.
Okay.
Filled with coke. Not the drink, not the drug. Metallurgical coke, which is made from coal.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm trying to like throw in definitions here left and right.
I was like, nice.
Yeah.
I think the Cubans are on this one.
Yeah. And so coke will burn at 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And so they build these like hodgepodge furnaces, and I say that endearingly.
Yeah.
You know, and you can layer coke iron, and it will just melt the snot out of some iron. I mean, it comes out hot and fast. It's great. And so I saw liquid iron for the first time on that field trip, and my brain just about exploded.
How old were you at this time?
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah,
High school.
it was just because I instantly kind of understood all the benefits of shaping it while it was liquid.
Right.
You know.
So you'd have to find a harness to hold it all.
Well, you make a mold.
A mold. There you go. That's a better word for it.
Yeah. Well, that's the word.
A harness.
I like a harness. That would make a great like picture.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, a harness. Put that thing on. The Okay. So you have to make a mold that won't burn. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to find something that's counteractive.
Oh, it's sand.
Sand.
Yeah.
So how hot do you have to be for sand to burn?
Well, sand starts to melt. It depends on how many impurities you got, but it probably won't start to melt until it's above 3,000. And the metal solidifies before that mold ever gets that hot.
Huh.
And the question is then, what do you hold the sand together with?
That was my next question. So I was like, wait a second, sand
is loose.
Yeah, I was like, how does that work?
So there's several different types. There's green sand, oil bonded sand, and resin bonded sand. Resin bonded is my favorite. It's also what I learned first. And as the name implies, you use a two-part epoxy, a resin, to glue all the sand grains together. But you only use a little bit.
Okay.
Like 1.5% by weight. And you mix it up, and it like sets up in 30 minutes. So you mix it up, and then you pack it on a form called a pattern.
Yeah.
That you want. So if you wanted to like make a metal phone, you would have a piece of wood that looked like your phone. That you would pack the sand onto, and then it would set up hard. You flip it over, then you pop that piece of wood out. Now you have a cavity in the shape of your phone that you pour the metal into.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets way more complicated than that.
Oh yeah.
How
do they make like engines and things like that, like engine blocks?
Yeah, so you can do.
So you have to figure out
parting lines.
Okay.
So old school parting lines, you have a pattern to where you can basically you make it in enough pieces that you can pull it back apart and get the wooden piece out.
Okay.
A lot of modern engine blocks are made by lost foam casting, which is also trippy. basically you make the part out of styrofoam.
Huh.
And so what they'll do on these like really complicated engines
Yeah.
is they'll have all these molds to inject all the styrofoam into, and then they glue them all together. So you can have all the internal water cooling passages and everything. And then you put on the gating system, which is where the metal enters and feeds the casting, which gets cut off later, but necessary for its production.
Huh.
And then they dip it all in a slurry, one layer, usually. And then let it dry. And then they put it in a big ass bucket. Start feeding some sand in as it vibrates. Loose sand. And the vibration like fluidizes the sand and it goes into all of those spaces. And you fill the whole thing up and it is rock solid. Like I've stuck my arm in it while it was vibrating and it's like fluid. And then they turn it off and like I was not getting my arm back. Then they turn the vibrators back on so it fluidized it again.
Right.
Yeah. And then you just go and you pour aluminum straight on that styrofoam. And it replaces it.
My brain's going into all wild spaces when
Oh,
when
yeah,
you're saying
no.
vibrations with sand. I was thinking about Egyptians and like pyramids and stuff.
I just want to see some Egyptians with some 14-inch subwoofers.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, maybe that's how they built the pyramids out there.
Who knows? I mean, it works.
Yeah.
So that's lost foam casting. So if you can find on your engine block an unmachined surface, sometimes you will see the little styrofoam looking structure.
Uh-huh.
The little like hexagonal looking like surface of styrofoam.
That it was there. Now it's metal.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I saw cast iron when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
That day I went home, built a furnace, and melted aluminum.
Out of what?
It was an old Freon can, I think. No, it might have been a propane tank.
What is your parents thinking about you in the backyard?
So I have to give my mom mad props because she let me play with fire.
Like very dangerous fire.
Oh yeah, nearly blew myself up multiple times.
Yeah, that's one of my questions that I'm starting to ask people is, have you ever had any near-death experiences?
Oh yeah, one major one.
Okay.
That was at the shipyard.
Yeah. Do tell.
So,
since we're here.
Yeah, so this is bouncing all over the timeline. We're just like, the timeline looks like spaghetti. Anyways.
Shipyard, you're roughly what age?
That's
You're at roughly what age?
So I don't know. 23, 24.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was a few years after I graduated.
Cool.
And so got a burp. So on high strength steel castings, like if you want to make a high quality steel casting, sometimes it's not just the melting and getting the chemistry right.
Mm-hmm.
You can also run into dissolved gases. Yeah, it gets weirder. So the most annoying one is hydrogen.
Why?
Hydrogen, because it likes to just get into the metal when it's liquid.
When the hydrogen's liquid or when the metal's liquid?
When the metal's liquid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then you have a gas dissolved in a liquid. Much like CO2 in soda. All right, there's CO2 in here.
Yeah.
Where do the bubbles come from?
Right.
It's a solution. The bubbles don't come out until they get nucleated, until something causes them to come out because it's saturated.
So at a high...
molten steel
it
can be very reactive, and the electric arc especially is very reactive, and there's humidity everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So it will literally separate the H from the O.
Causing explosions?
No.
Oh.
It just goes in. The reason hydrogen is annoying is because if you have, and this also goes for aluminum, it's really, hydrogen's a little annoying freaking atom from a metallurgical perspective.
Yeah.
If you have, usually the hydrogen is more soluble in the liquid state, in the liquid metal, than it is in the solid metal. So what happens when you put a Coke in the freezer?
It freezes.
And then what?
Then it explodes the bottle.
Why?
No idea.
Because
it expands?
Because the CO2 is no longer soluble in the solid.
Oh.
it was soluble in the liquid,
Right.
but not in the solid. So as the Coke is freezing, all the water and stuff is freezing, it's literally ejecting the CO2 from the solid.
Got it. Huh.
And so then you have all that gas now and it blows the thing open. Same thing with metal. So that can look like porosity in your castings.
Uh-huh.
Like you'll just have bubbles in the center of it for no reason.
And you're just like, I hate you.
Yeah, exactly. You get below the level of porosity, and then in steel, high strength steel specifically, even a little few ppm parts per million of hydrogen can affect your properties.
For the whole thing.
Yep, it'll affect your mechanical properties.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in metals are actually crystalline. Most people don't realize that. They're polycrystalline. Crystalline just means there's regular order. So if you can imagine all the iron atoms in a row and they're all connected and they're all sharing electrons, it's not covalent.
Interesting.
It's metallic bonding. And they call it the sea of electrons, which is also why metals are conductive. And so a hydrogen atom, monoatomic, single hydrogen, so proton and one electron, right? And then it's in there with a sea of electrons, and they all share electrons. So it is effectively just a proton.
So then
super tiny.
Yeah.
Does whatever it wants.
Totally.
It just whizzes around and causes problems. So when it's liquid, we try to effectively degas it as much as possible.
Yep.
Okay, and so you can do that by bubbling a non-soluble gas through it, like argon.
Okay.
That's very common in the aluminum world.
Yep.
It doesn't go into solution at all, and then you have all these argon bubbles floating up through the metal, and then it's kind of a partial pressure thing. You got this hydrogen atom over here, who's surrounded by other hydrogens in a certain amount, and then sees this fresh argon bubble with no hydrogen in it, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go check that out.
Hang out with that.
So it goes into the bubble, and then it floats to the surface, and then pop. He just got duped.
Wow.
He's tricked. He's out of the metal now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you almost die from that?
So to do that with steel.
Yeah. It's going to be really hot.
Oh, yeah, no, it's liquid.
Yeah.
Again, 3,000. We'd get to 3,200 many times. We would use...
crazy
oh, yeah, no,
talk.
It's
like 71 degrees in this room right now, and I'm...
You can have all your gear on and then like open the door of the furnace and you just instantly start smoking from the radiant heat.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fine. So we use an argon oxygen decarburization vessel. AOD.
I also feel very bad for all the people who did test subjects for your guys' outfits.
Did what?
Wearing the outfits, the test subjects for those things is like, can this be that hot? Poof, nope, guess not. Okay,
they find it. They do it other ways. They have machines to test that way before somebody puts it on. But yeah, usually the first guy's like,
yeah. I was like, can you imagine being that first guy wearing that outfit?
Yeah. So yeah, the AOD vessel.
Yeah.
Is this egg-shaped contraption?
Okay.
That we would, we melted the steel in the arc furnace, transfer it to a ladle, which is just a big bucket lined with brick that holds molten steel, and then put it in the AOD. The AOD could rotate from horizontal to vertical, so just 90 degrees upright.
Okay.
And in the bottom, it had 3 tweers. Another weird word nobody understands. Holes for gas to go in.
Okay.
Tweer. T-U-Y-E-R-E. New Scrabble word.
Yeah.
T-U-Y-E-R-E. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah. And so through those holes, we could inject a mixture of argon or argon and oxygen.
Uh-huh.
Now, argon alone is good for stirring it and degassing a little bit. But what you really do is you melt high in carbon, and then you inject pure oxygen. Well, mixture of argon with it, just so you don't burn a hole through it.
Yep.
And then the oxygen reacts with the dissolved carbon, producing carbon monoxide. And that bubbles like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's jumping around in there. It's going nuts. And so if you wanted to end up at like a 30 carbon, you melt in at like a 1% carbon, 30 being 0.3. Sorry.
Okay.
And then you burn off those 70 points, and it degasses the fuck out of it. It's just like,
yeah.
And And then, that kind of is part of it. There's other things that AOD does, like mixing in a synthetic slag so you can remove sulfur if you want to, which is really handy. Anyways, so that's the whole that's the whole setup. You have to understand this.
I get it.
And so this giant egg-shaped vessel that's holding 60,000 pounds of molten steel at like 3,000 degrees, our control room is 10 feet away from it.
Yo, what?
Control room. And it's just this little concrete bunker with like bulletproof tinted glass, so we can see what's happening.
Right.
And you're putting so much gas through it. Every now and then, a little droplet of steel will come out and just it's kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I was in charge of what to add and when, and like the whole process. I was the master chef, basically.
Totally.
And something went wrong with the controls.
Oh boy.
And we injected way too much oxygen. So not only did we burn out the carbon we wanted to, we burned out all of it. All of it. Which you wouldn't think is a bad thing, because you can just add it back.
Right.
It's really easy to add it back, actually. But there's this little fun trick that steel does. So generally, you don't have hydrogen and oxygen dissolved at the same time, because they would react together and form water, and they just kind of come out.
Right.
So generally, you have one or the other. Turns out, when you get below about a 0.05 carbon and less, I mean, it didn't even register on the machine like what it was. It was gone.
Right. Yeah.
The solubility of oxygen increases exponentially.
Oh no.
So now, instead of like the Coke analogy, like literally, I was sitting there with molten steel Coke. But it was oxygen. It was oxygen dissolved in molten iron.
Oh geez.
And I thought I was fine. I was like, our carbon is so low, I'm gonna add it ahead of time to get me close, like to my target, like because I knew some of it was gonna burn off.
Yep.
So it's like you kind of sneak up on things. You add a little bit, and there's this multi-stage process. And I said, hey, throw in 50 pounds,
Yep.
get it in there, so we can try and get a run on it. Well, luckily for me, they were also adding silicon. I'll get to that in a minute. At this point in time, so just threw it in, put it in, turn it up, start mixing with the argon. Fucking floor starts shaking.
Oh my.
And that thing started going off like a volcano.
Are you you said you're in a
little bunker right next to it.
But the room outside of it is what kind of
it's just an open factory floor.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, and this I mean, it's erupting.
You're probably shitting your pants.
Oh yeah. I mean, people are running. Like all the melt vibrators gone.
Yeah, they're like, I don't give a fuck what's going on here.
Like we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And
oh my god.
And it just starts getting worse and worse. And I'm like, it's gonna detonate.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's where my brain was.
It's gonna take out the whole city.
And then the people that were in the room, one guy, I think he was a transfer, he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. He left. And then we hear this, and then the like old operator's like, we lost the oxygen. And he runs out that door. And as he's running, he's like, take it down. And I'm like, I don't want to die.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my, 20,000, you said 20 tons?
60,000 pounds, 30 tons.
Okay.
And it's just vomiting all over the place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Give it so what, as a size comparison, what would that be?
Oh, I don't know. It's
a train car or more?
I don't know. So the thing is, like, yeah, liquid is very dense, just from a bulk density standpoint.
Right.
I don't know how much a train car weighs.
But just like size portion of what you're working with?
It was probably the diameter of this room inside.
Okay. So.
And probably only like that deep. Like it's not as much metal as you think.
No, that was definitely not, because this room is probably 15 by 15. So,
yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely not as much as I thought.
Inside diameter. The vessel's a little bit bigger. It's lined with brick.
So
It's
definitely
very
not a train
tall.
car.
It was probably
Yeah.
twice the height of this room.
That's go crazy though.
And yeah, and so I take it down, and so in other words, it turns down so that the little tweers where the oxygen and stuff's being injected are
Yeah.
out of the metal,
Oh no.
and so we can turn them off. Because if you turn them off while they're covered with metal, all the metal will penetrate and ruin them, and then you have to reline it,
right.
and replace those. So took it down, and then I mean it's coming down and just like just vomiting metal and slag everywhere, and then it just calmed down, and everything was fine. It was just an air hose we burned up from a little splatter.
A little splatter.
And then it had occurred to me what happened, that the solubility, all of a sudden my metallurgy classes came back to mind. I'm like, oh, I'm such a dum-dum.
What happened?
Well, just the carbon that we added reacted with the dissolved oxygen. It was
gotcha.
literally Mentos and Coke.
Got it.
And it just went off. Luckily, the silicon we added also acted with the dissolved oxygen, but silicon forms a solid, not a gas.
So it kind of saved your ass.
So it calmed it down fairly quickly.
Wow.
It probably wouldn't have detonated. It would have just kept going until all the carbon was burned up.
Right.
Which who knows how long that would have been, or what else would have been set on fire.
Oh my God.
And then went back up and finished the heat and poured it. But there was like a hot 10 seconds. I was like, this is where it ends.
Yeah.
This thing's going to explode and there will be nothing left of me.
Totally. From that point on, what was like your perspective on life?
I don't know if it changed much then.
Okay.
To be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it probably had some effect on me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I went right back to playing with molten steel.
Yeah.
It's like working with molten metal. It's kind of like riding a motorcycle.
Okay.
You can't be afraid of it,
right?
But you have to respect it.
Got it.
Because if you screw up, start horsing around doing some stupid stuff, you're more likely going to get hurt. Same thing.
Yeah.
So you have people that ride motorcycles and get in a wreck and don't go back to it. And some that do get back up on, keep on going,
It's like falling off a horse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely was. I'm sure the first week after that, I was thankful for every little thing.
Totally.
But honestly, I don't remember. Maybe it was life-changing. I don't know. There's
so far removed from it now. Yeah. It's just natural thought process. Yeah. Interesting. So if you said that, what would have changed? You said it didn't. You didn't say. You said not then, but something else changed your perspective on life.
Oh gosh, I've done so much self-work.
Yeah.
And had more moments of just either self-reflection or world-changing views of the universe and life and stuff that has just been a part of my growth that I feel is more impactful than just not dying that one time.
Totally. Yeah, so it's more of a step-by-step situation.
Yeah.
Got it. Your we went
Can
to
we do a bathroom break?
Yeah.
Awesome. Much better.
Yeah. When you have the pee, man, it's that's all you can
probably
focus
just started talking faster and faster and faster.
You're like, maybe if I change my insides, it will stop. Nah, when you have to go to the bathroom, it's the only thing you can think about.
Anyways, you were about to ask me a question.
I guess it was one of the yeah. So we met at our church a long time ago, and that was a Christian church. Have to specify.
Hail Satan!
Yes. I mean,
there's that joke where you just specify. I'm sorry.
Gotta specify these days.
Watch too much South Park.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
So people are gonna be like, "What this guy?"
Yeah. South Park is great. So we met at a Christian church. I didn't know your upbringing before that religiously. Yeah. And I don't know where it is now. So, So with your growth and all of that, has it changed your view on Christianity, or has it evolved into something different? How's your perspective? I know there's like 1,000 questions I'm asking you right now.
Yeah, those are all kind of the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then
it's
like, does your view on death have that changed because of uh your growth?
yeah, I don't know about that one. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I didn't grow up in a Christian household.
Huh. Okay.
They weren't atheists. I mean, in retrospect, I think my dad was Christian, just not practicing.
Uh-huh.
He's definitely practicing more now than he was back then.
Interesting.
I think agnostic would be the word, but
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't even a thing or not a thing.
Right.
But being Alabama and the Baptists,
You got that right.
they scooped me up real quick.
Sunday school?
Oh gosh, yeah, I went to church a couple. It was like I went just enough times to get baptized, and then they stopped
Gotcha.
picking me up.
Got it.
Or
Like,
I got busy.
yeah.
You know, like I had all my hobbies and stuff, and didn't know anything about it. Again, you know, no expectations.
Yeah.
I didn't really start getting into Christianity heavily until like, I mean, off and on throughout high school. And again, being a drummer, you end up in most of the church bands. But it was sometime in college that I started to take it more seriously.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that was good. I feel like that was a good time. And then, you know, throughout my work life. And then obviously, and so, yeah, so moved up to Newport News in 2010, doing the whole shipyard thing.
Yep.
And then that's when I found out about Big House Church. And
Yep.
there was weekends I was playing at 3 different churches
Wow.
as a drummer.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen me play.
Totally.
So I think you get it.
Yeah. That's a full-on workout. You don't need to do anything else after that.
Yeah. So, and then I found this Anglican church, which was really awesome. I think so. I'm a confirmed Anglican. And then drifted off into the Pentecostal world or whatever we were.
Yeah.
Evangelical, all of the above, you know. And it was one hell of a journey, that's for sure. So a couple things happened in succession. And so I definitely prefer the term spiritual now.
Yeah.
As opposed to Christian. It's got such a negative connotation now.
Absolutely.
That it's just, even if you're a decent human, calling yourself Christian, it's just like
Totally.
almost like waving a flag.
Yeah.
So here's a target. Come bother me.
Right.
And it's probably because a lot of Christians haven't really been the best at portraying
what they believe.
Yes,
quote unquote.
That's. I'm trying to find the best way to phrase that. So, September 2019.
Mm-hmm.
My younger brother, Christopher, was burned severely.
Wow.
95%.
Whoa.
In a house fire. Almost died.
Yeah.
His girlfriend passed away in the emergency room, and his 5 little dogs didn't make it.
Wow.
Yeah. They gave him a 10% chance to live. And they did not bump that up for 4 months.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Intense. September. And then in October, my good friend from around Newport News, who would get into the metal casting shenanigans with me, because I melt it for fun too. Like I build furnaces at home and shit.
Oh yeah.
He died in a motorcycle accident.
Damn.
Yeah. And then that was right before COVID.
Yeah, I was like, what a time.
Yeah, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
There was this really kind of, I don't know what you would call it, just moment in the hospital.
With your brother?
With my brother. He was unconscious the whole time. And me thinking that I'm supposed to be the tough one because I have faith. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
You know, and especially in all the circles we travel, like, you know, people teaching on how to healing and
Yeah.
all of this stuff, and like, you know, miracles can happen, which I still believe they can. I still believe in the supernatural. It's just I don't know if it's the way everybody thinks it works.
Totally.
And so there was just this moment where I realized like everything I thought I knew completely failed me. Like I didn't have the faith to believe he would survive.
Yeah.
Especially I work in an industry where people get burned.
A lot.
Well, not a lot, but just like that's the occupational hazard.
Right.
And so I know that most people don't survive large burns, large surface area burns. You die later in the hospital from infection.
Right.
Because your skin is what keeps all of the millions and billions of bacteria out.
And then the good ones in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, you are under constant attack. So I wasn't expecting him to die, but there was not a fiber of my being, like I broke down. I mean, like all of whatever was inside me just collapsed.
So that was September. So that like led into COVID.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So I would call it a functioning depression.
Yeah.
I was a zombie for like a year and a half.
Totally.
He's doing great, by the way. This little fucker's fine.
That's amazing.
One of the toughest people I know. If he listens to this, that little fucker is tough as nails.
Cool.
Looks completely different, but he is the same person. Same person.
So
it's so there is a happy ending to that.
Yeah. Love hearing that.
Yeah. But like, yeah, so like a year and a half.
Do you think death of your friend made a big impact on your depression or whatever?
Oh, that didn't help at all.
Yeah.
That's like getting, kicked when you're down.
Yeah. In the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you hurting?
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
And then COVID, and things just got weird with COVID, especially with churches.
Yeah. Of course.
And it's just, yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into that.
No.
So I think I just stopped going to church. A lot of them were closed down anyways, right? And then I started enjoying my sleeping in on Sundays.
Yep.
And not hauling my drum set around to 3 different churches in a weekend. But I was also like super depressed.
Yeah. So you had to figure something out.
So my life was go to work, come home, beer and potato chips and YouTube. Like that was my life for like a year and a half. And I finally decided to do something about it. He pulled through. There, I went down to Alabama multiple times. Was with him in the hospital multiple times. Saw the whole process. He came through it, but still, like just everything I thought I was standing on was just like gone.
Yeah.
And because frankly, nothing really bad had happened to me most of my life. Like nothing like that.
Right. Right.
So it's easy to stand on, hopes and dreams when you haven't had any shit kicked in your face.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
And so then one of the things I started doing, I started working out. And that, if anybody's struggling with any kind of depression or anything, work out.
Yeah.
Not to look buff.
Yep.
Not even to lose weight.
Just a little bit.
It's freaking magic. I felt better the next day. Now I had to hire a personal trainer because I wasn't doing that shit myself.
Yeah, but you had to do it.
Yeah, I something needed to change, and I figured I'd try this. And I've never liked being on any kind of medication long term, And I've heard, I think antidepressants work for a lot of people, but every now and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, let me try this. Right? And it's not just go for a walk. I mean, if that's all you can do, awesome. Any movement is better than no movement.
Yeah.
Right? But doing something where you have to break a sweat. Like, so you got to run or you got to lift weights. I highly recommend lifting weights.
Lift your own body.
Yeah, even body weight. Yeah.
Yep.
If that's all you're doing, that's cheap, right?
Yep.
Sit-ups, push-ups, that type of stuff.
Squats.
Oh yeah, squats, lunges. There's all sorts of stuff on
Walking
there.
up and down stairs.
Oh yeah, do that a bunch of times. So
You
you sweat.
Yeah. It's like you'll realize that life is not that hard after you do walking up and down stairs
Yeah,
50
and then
times.
hold a bag of dog food while you do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Go up to the next. Oh, he said dog food. Oh no.
Oh,
That's,
this one knows the
he knows
certain words.
He knows words. But yeah.
So yeah, so then that
working
kind of
out.
pulled me out of it, and I still work out, and it's crazy.
Mhm.
It is insane. I've been a geek all my life, band geek. Sure, I do blacksmithing, metal casting for fun, but
Yeah.
I've never considered myself athletic. And now I'm starting to enjoy working out a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's super great for the brain. And so once things started to kind of calm down after COVID, I was like, man, I don't want to go to church.
Yeah.
Like I had like after that whole long break, and then just also in that time of working out and everything, like just pondering life, most of it,
Totally.
and like why do things happen and how to deal with things happening. So also part of that was Jordan Peterson.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh yeah.
12 Rules for Life.
Uh-huh.
Hell yes.
Good book.
That really helped.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I listened to that before I started working out or after. I don't know the series of things.
Right.
But that was also a big motivator. And obviously I was talking to Kim, you know.
Yeah.
I've been friends with Kim for a while now.
Look at episode 1.
Right. She's amazing.
She's episode 1.
I'm lucky enough that she's like, I get free life coaching just by proximity.
Totally.
Like I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
If you just happen to be with somebody awesome and having a conversation, and they're like, "Oh, well, have you ever thought about X, Y, Z?" and you're just like, "What?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh my god!"
Yeah, the first podcast, which is about an hour and a half, I was just like, I got a free session.
dude, she is amazing.
Yeah,
And she's amazing. She's just a wonderful human being.
totally.
And if I was to really describe like how amazing she is, people wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, just look at
That's the
episode
thing.
1.
That is
Look
the actuality of it. They would
Yeah.
read that and be like, man, this guy's lying out his ass. Ain't nobody
No.
like that exists.
They do. They do.
You know, lots of times I like she's better than the Oracle from the Matrix. Like, you
And
know,
that is a high regard there.
Right?
Yes.
So anyway, also talking to her, working out, and just realizing that like, oh man, there was a lot of odd stuff in church and dysfunction and clickiness. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, just weird things. And then I'm like, oh, they're just kind of a poorly run business, you know, and like,
You got that right.
And it started to bother because I was even in the House of Prayer stuff,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yep.
which I thought was a great thing at first, but at the same time, I'm like,
A little weird.
and I'm all for if that's actually somebody's calling, but it's, you know, how many people really know? Really, I question myself all the time. Is this my voice or is this God's voice?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I have all sorts of voices in my head.
Oh yeah, we all do.
To be honest,
Totally.
I can imagine, I can visualize things as like the mechanical brain or whatever.
Yep.
You know, I have a very active imagination, and so I'm also a very emotional being. So how do I know it's not just I'm just not being influenced by something? And you know, that's a whole different conversation. But anyways, a lot of people, you know, living off of other people's donations, which I'm not saying don't donate, and I'm not saying don't support, but something intrinsically happens that I think is really hard to fend off if your salary depends on how people view you.
Yep.
Then most humans will start to tweak what they say and tweak how they behave around those people to make sure that they keep giving.
Yep.
Unless you are the most crazy, unbiased, like human who's willing to just give up money.
Yep. And some of the like the best pastors who have given like the best advice or preaching, if you want to use that word, they already had side businesses before they became a pastor, and so they're already independently wealthy. So they didn't care.
I love that idea.
And
like,
then they
you have
were-
a job
Yeah.
and you're a pastor.
Yeah.
Like,
And so it's like, okay, now you're just speaking truly what you have learned from your studies.
yeah.
And then you're not trying to make
Yeah, you're not
the
trying to appease
yeah.
anybody or make sure the tithe is good or this, that, and
Totally.
the other.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal take on it.
I mean,
And like
that's how I saw church too.
Yeah.
As soon as I left it, back in 2000, and I don't know,
2000 something,
2008 years ago, whatever that was, 16 time frame.
16.
Yeah, and so, and it really was probably earlier than that, but I really stopped even thinking about the idea of going back because I just saw it exactly how you saw it, which was. It's just a business that's centered around spirituality.
Yeah, it's like a social club.
Yep. And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to give my money to that.
Yeah. And I also...
It brought me some type of security, scaffolding in the time frame that I was there.
Sure.
That I needed. And it also helped because the people such as Kim helped me through hard times.
Yeah, there's genuinely good people in
totally.
there.
Yeah. So it's
and
like,
not all of them are screwing it up, but it's just...
But I could have gotten those people outside of the church as well.
Right.
And so it's like, okay.
Yeah. And I also, this is my opinion, I don't think you should be tithing if you have debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you got credit card debt. I've got credit card debt. I got like a bunch of credit card debt
me
right
too.
now.
Yeah, me too.
And it was like, so all these people that are giving 10% of their paycheck every
Totally.
Sunday and have debt, I'm like,
put that towards your credit card.
Get rid of that debt because that's more evil than and tying people to whatever. You know? So that's just my take on that. Also, what about a reverse church? What about a church you go to and you get money?
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make that work, but again, if you're
the church would have to have an independent, wealthy pastor already.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. Like that's the thing, like, right?
Yeah. Or like some of the congregation are super wealthy and then they give, and those who aren't, then it goes back to the people who don't.
Yeah, I just
but
love
that's
the
also
idea
weird
of,
socials.
Yeah, it's more of a like can't think of the word. Just a theoretical concept.
Yeah.
The idea is, is it possible for an entity like that to give more than it takes?
Right.
I don't know. And I think there's lots of charitable organizations that are doing good things with feeding the homeless and this, that, and the other, but they're also paying for a really big building.
That's the biggest thing for me. Like whenever I walked into a church or like here in Richmond, people were building churches all over the place. And I was like,
what's the mortgage on that thing?
What did it cost to build that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I could use a percentage of that to help me pay off my debt. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then there's, some of the clickiness.
Yep.
That I ran into, and just, things became a lot clearer when I was out of it.
Yep.
And that, I was kind of done with it for a little while.
Yeah.
Not done with God.
Totally.
Just like the way things were implemented.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, this is my own personal opinion on like religion. Is like, it's the human existence trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. We like to do that.
Yeah.
And we like to put labels on things. And I'm a scientist. Like I'm the same thing right there. I do that all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, because.
And simplify.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but obviously, like in the Christian world, that's where we came from, is like Jesus, I think, was an actual human, but like, was he truly what the Bible actually said?
Yeah. And so then,
because it was like translated from a couple different languages and then passed down from audibly for a while. And
when you start digging into the history of that, like in the 1600s, when they came up together with the King James version and decided what was in the Bible and what was not.
Right.
Who
Why
got that right? How do you know you got that right?
Yeah. And or also who deemed you worthy of putting that in there?
Yeah. And then I took a couple classes on like historical contextual understanding of the Bible.
Uh-huh.
Just like we say things today, like what were the slang sayings back in the day
Oh,
that we
yeah.
don't understand,
Oh, right.
or the historical events going around at the same time that had, an
Right.
effect on it. I saw a meme the other, and I love it. It was like 1,000 years from now, people are going to assume butt dial and booty call are the same thing.
Wow.
Right?
That's hilarious.
That is it.
Yeah.
Without any kind of
That's so great. That's so great. Next time someone said, "Sorry, I butt called you," I was like, "I'll be right over."
But I'm like, that is literally it. And then the thing that I came to my own conclusion is like, all right, the stories in the Old Testament, Abraham, right?
Yep.
And all those guys, like in the first, they didn't have any Bible.
Right. Just audible.
They were just hanging out with God, doing whatever
they were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then everybody in the New Testament didn't have the New Testament.
Right. And it was like 80 years after Jesus when they all were written down. Or
Yeah,
like 60
I don't know all the
and
details.
I'm like, it's like a lot of the Bible was like written down like 60 years after Jesus. So I'm like, I can't remember like a year ago some things that happened.
Right?
And so I'm like, if I was hanging out with, he's like, yeah, he brought someone back from the dead. That sounds about right.
Or was it possible that anybody wrote some stuff that wasn't actually real?
Right. Because they're being facetious because
Who knows?
A while ago. So yeah, I don't know.
So there's a lot of that. And so I'm like, okay, I like this. I'm just me and God are gonna do our thing.
Yep.
Not that the Bible's not a good reference. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yep.
And you can glean stuff from it. But it's been weaponized too many times.
And that goes with a lot of religions.
Yeah.
And so it's like, not just talking about Christianity. That's on. Yeah. I'm just talking because it's from my perspective. But I also had that. That was one of the things that I came to that conclusion. My mid 20s. Wow, that was a struggle. I'm also going through a sinus infection.
Gotcha.
That I had in my mid 20s was just like, wait a second. It's like hit me a ton of bricks. So it was just like, hey, what happened? What would you be believing if you were born in Middle East?
Yeah.
Or born in Asia somewhere? I'm like, it probably wouldn't be Christianity.
No.
So if that's the case, then maybe you should expand your thoughts a little bit.
Yeah. And so at this point, I've never been more comfortable with the idea of being wrong about who God is.
Yeah.
But yet also feeling closer to whoever that person is.
Yeah.
So I like to use the words, creator of the universe, prime mover, if you will.
Prime mover.
Which is also a Rush song.
Okay.
I love that term.
Prime mover, I love it.
I'm a huge Rush fan, and that's what the song is about. It's awesome. Maybe that's the song.
Yeah.
Because I can't decide what song.
But I love it. Prime mover.
Yeah, prime mover. Because even if
Optimus Prime mover,
you believe in the Big Bang and evolution and whatnot, and I'm not sold on evolution or creation. I'm not. Well, I mean, I think God did it, right? But anyways,
what time frame? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that because that also like. How does that affect my day-to-day life?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about. Fun to hear people talk about it. But okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it. And so I think most of that comes down to either there was either matter is eternal. Or God, or there's an eternal God. And you can argue over who that is, but there's some being that has existed for all time.
Right.
Or matter has existed for all time. For the Big Bang and evolution and everything to just come into existence. I heard somebody phrase it that way, and I'm like, oh, I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
So being not raised in being raised in an agnostic and then going through the Christian learning stages, and then which that probably put um a filter on your belief of the afterlife
Mm-hmm.
pre and then during and then now where you're at now. What do you have any thoughts on like,
I don't know.
or do you just not think about it at all? And
I think about it every now and then
okay,
because I find myself being afraid of dying, which is, I think, a very normal human thing to fear,
it's the reason why I have this podcast.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's the reason why I have this podcast.
And it's because again, Jordan Peterson's a great tool to kind of help you like
Some people would call him a tool.
that's awesome. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think I mean if
in the negative sense, but yeah. But also,
anybody that's paving a path somewhere is going to get criticism from somebody.
of course. Yeah. But I know what you were saying, but it was just funny.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. He's a great resource
there's
and
plenty of
tools.
people that hate him.
Yeah, yeah. I love it.
I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I may not agree with everything 100%, but
Nor should you.
he really helped me out. And
Yeah.
you can totally listen to somebody that disagrees with you or has a different viewpoint than you and not hate the person and maybe even learn something from them.
That's
as long as you're not physically like stabbing each other.
Of
like,
course.
That's a different story.
yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know what happens in the afterlife.
Cool.
And how could anybody know? There's people that have claimed to have a near-death experience and come back, and there's those stories.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're not consistent enough, but how would you have any empirical data? And so I'm a science guy, I'm a data guy.
Totally.
And so there's that, or you believe whatever your religion, teaches you, right? Or you come up with your own shenanigans. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think that it just ends in nothingness. You die and then that's it. That was your life. You're gone from all of existence, never to live again. That's just kind of a weird thought to me. We're having this human experience and then just nothing.
That's why it's so psychedelic.
Yeah. And then do dogs go to heaven? All of these things.
My theory is dogs are people in purgatory and have to live out another short life.
Maybe. And what are cats?
I have no idea.
Sorry,
they're demons. I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
love all animals.
Cats are awesome too.
Yeah,
they're just definitely different than dogs.
Oh yeah, they're a little more sadistic.
Yeah.
I really don't know, and
Cool.
I don't know how to find out either.
Yeah.
And so, what I realized, now I'm in my late 30s, and I think I've been starting to be more and more safe, not do dangerous things.
Oh yeah.
Besides the metalworking, that's kind of like my drug of choice.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really good at it. I'm really safe at it. I'm known for being safe at it.
Hint the explosion in the.
That was the learning curve. Nobody got hurt when that thing went.
Yeah, because they all ran for the hills.
As you should.
Yeah. No, but that's cool.
Yeah. So, it's like you could live a very sheltered life.
Yep.
Stay in your house, never go outside. You might get in a car wreck. You might trip and break your leg. You might do this. You might get shot. You might get an infection. All of these things, and you just hide from it. And then what? You just die of old age one day in your house.
It's like the Alanis Morissette song "Ironic."
Oh, I don't know if I've heard that one.
Oh, really? Oh man, it's great. It's just a bunch of ironic things. It's like guy saving his whole life to retire or something like that, and then he dies the next day, or saves his whole life to go on a plane ride, and then he dies before it takes off, and it's like, and then it's like, isn't that ironic? Or another in the chorus, it talks about using the only utensils that you have are like forks, but what you really need is a knife to cut something, and it's like, isn't that ironic? And it's like rain on a wedding day. She just goes through a
Maybe
whole
I
bunch
have
of.
heard it. I
It's
don't
a
know if
very very famous.
okay, that I probably have.
Yeah.
I'm actually very bad with song names.
Okay,
Except for the ones that I like listen to on repeat.
got
you
it.
know.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for all you Alanis Morissette people out there that I just butchered that song, because
We're gonna re-record that. It's
Yeah.
gonna be perfect.
yeah, because I probably butchered it a lot, but yeah, there's a bunch of analogies in the song, anyways. But
yeah, and so the other thing is, I mean, I guess it's also entirely possible that time doesn't exist either.
Yeah,
That it's just a what's the word when it's like a man-made,
simulation.
not necessarily a simulation. With all those conspiracies are really interesting too. What is that called?
Man-made, like when someone is
like
synthetic.
It's purely the fact that we started labeling things and measuring things with something that we created.
Got it.
Time, as it were.
Got it.
Although there's lots of proof, we have a memory, right? Right? We remember what happened yesterday. I remember coming up the steps, but
that also could be that getting re-fed into our brains every time we wake up.
Yeah. And so
and it's like, okay, where were we when we slept?
Yeah, dude. So I really have no clue about death.
Yeah.
It freaks me out a little bit.
It freaks me out.
I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I've had several people die, which the thing that I don't think anybody really tells you when you're little, at least not me, is the longer you live, the more you see people die.
Yep.
It's just the math of it.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah.
Yep. You know, so my friend on the motorcycle, another friend from Indiana, like I've seen other people die. My brother almost did, you know, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I want to have more crazy adventures. But I find myself like scared to initiate them sometimes.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's just the ADHD or like just
subconsciously because you've had that impact from your brother.
Could be.
Yeah. And your friend.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
But nobody can predict the future.
Right.
We try to. We try really hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, we have savings accounts and we invest in stocks and we build houses and this, that, and the other. And you know, nobody anticipated COVID. You know? And
right.
we could die in a car wreck on the interstate, and it's just like
Yep.
Or just maybe you just lose both your legs, who knows? Like, and I'm trying not to let that like freeze me. You know, so that's an interesting thing to work through, like overcoming just fear and to live life to the fullest.
In the midst of navigating that world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I'm right there with you. I mean, that's the reason why this podcast is called L.S.D.
Yeah.
Life, Song, and Death.
Yeah.
It's my three favorite things that I am absolutely fascinated with.
Okay, I was about to say three favorite.
Yeah.
Like death?
Three favorite things to think about.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. I love talking to people. Love to hear their stories.
Yeah.
Songs is I've spoke about this to ad nauseum to people, but like my brain is a neurodivergent, and so I have HSP, which is a highly sensitive person.
Oh,
yeah, and so
I want to hear more about that at some point.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Now that we're talking again, we can talk
no,
more.
no.
Not on here.
I could see myself falling into that category.
Yeah, there's three different subcategories to it, but for me, it's aesthetics, and so the atmosphere in a room. I can feel the atmosphere in the room. Like as soon as I walk in, I can tell. Like if I'm at a restaurant, I've had this my entire life. Like I'm walking to a restaurant, and I'm like, that table's not doing so well, and like I can just feel like my mind's eye mental picture when I hear sounds, and then when I taste stuff. I get like videos and pictures and things in my head.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's freaking neat.
Yeah, so when it's crazy. It's like my entire life I've always had sorry people, but my entire life I've always heard when I heard music, I would have a music video in my head.
Yeah.
And so and I didn't really know that I thought it was just normal
Yeah.
until I described it to my brother one time. It was a new song that I've heard and he was like I was like I feel like I'm like underwater and then but not underwater and but it's like I'm in the sky, whatever. He was like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, what? And he showed me the album cover and it was like this petri dish in the sky, but the inside the petri dish was an ocean. And I described the album cover.
And you'd never seen it.
Never saw it before.
That's
And
cool.
so yeah. Because I just described the feeling I got
from the music. Yeah, music is magic.
But I didn't describe like it is. It so is. And so but I didn't describe like the actual drawing of it at all, but I just got the feeling that I was like in water but underwater but not really. And it was like
and so that makes me
whoa.
wonder because
and so
I'm super into music.
Yeah.
More so from maybe a technical music theory,
Mhm.
music creation standpoint.
Right.
Because music theory is broken, and that's a whole nother podcast
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
You know, but it works, but it's so broken. And I wonder if the person that wrote that song was trying to emulate that from like an artistic perspective. He's creating.
Right.
And in his composition, he composed that so that that was the feeling attached to the music. Right.
I've had that thought a lot.
Because I would imagine so, because music is the one way that you can communicate emotion.
Yeah. And it transverses
language,
yeah. Culture,
yeah,
everything. It's like the foundation of humans.
Yeah. And that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting just to read up on the guy's process as he was creating the music.
Yeah.
If that's why he chose that album art.
Absolutely.
You know.
Or did the artist who made the album art for that band
like
or do
came
they
up with that
do
while
they
he was listening to it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I thought about that as like as a career or whatever, but I'm not an artist. Like I can only describe like how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And so like I don't even know how I would be able to monetize that because it's like like bands or whatever, like, hey, give me your music, I'll listen to it, and then I can describe what I feel for your album art. I wouldn't be able to draw it for you. I wouldn't be able to graphic design it for you.
Interestingly
or
enough,
any of that. But if you can find an artist,
yeah, there's plenty of artists out
from
there
how I feel from it, it would be a cool album art for you
that could take something you say and then just draw it.
Totally.
You know, it's funny. Creativity is a whole thing, and I've also listened to a lot of Andrew Huberman.
Yep.
Dude's awesome.
Great guy.
And the one podcast he does on creativity, that you can actually exercise creativity and become more creative, is awesome. Because there's some people I know, they can make things. They have skill, but they don't necessarily have original thought on what to make.
Yep.
You show them a picture of something, they can recreate it.
Yep.
But if you just say, "Oh, just make something," they're like, I don't know. Meanwhile, I'll just give me a pile of mud and I'll just like,
sure,
you know. So it is interesting, and there's probably plenty of artists out there that if you could just describe it, and then they could do it, or just feed it into some AI program.
And that's my new thought that I had, but I haven't had the discipline to even learn any of the AI yet, like prompt learning.
Oh, okay.
Or prompt learning.
They make it look real easy, but I haven't tried anything.
Dude,
yet.
It's so much harder than it looks. But prompt engineering, that's what it's called. But
gotcha.
But yeah, it's so much harder than it is. But it's not as hard as you think it would be. But it is still hard because if you want to change like one thing, you have to like change like a whole bunch of other things. Because like this giant like jigsaw puzzle with words.
Yeah.
Because if you change one thing, then this whole area changes or whatever. So it's like a bunch of
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, what's the song you want to play?
So, I think I'm gonna go with Summoning Dance.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Lunatic Soul?
Nah. You turned me on to Snarky Puppy like like
so
way long ago,
nice.
And I've been listening to them ever since. And their newest album came out last year. It was so freaking good. It's insane. But
I almost Snarky Puppy was on the list. I was like
Nice.
going through songs.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones. Most of them being prog rock. You know, like, I
Okay.
love prog rock.
No way. Cool.
The song that probably means the most to me is "Carry On Wayward Son."
Yeah.
Kansas.
Kansas is a great one.
That the universe has played that at the most important times in my life
Oh,
on
yes.
radios, on iPods, on whatever.
Yep.
In very creepy ways before it was ever popular on Supernatural.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like, okay, people know that song, but check it out. It's awesome. Also a huge Rush fan.
Yeah.
Rush has 50 albums. I don't know.
It's insane.
I mean, Neil Peart died recently.
Yeah.
That sucks, but they played for 50 years.
Yeah.
And he wrote all the lyrics.
They made his casket out of the albums.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
I would
they had
it.
enough. They had enough to cover his whole body.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they're not like, oh, my girlfriend left me, I'm upset lyrics. They're awesome, deep lyrics.
Yeah. And Rush drummer is insane. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's like several Rush songs on the list. And just other ones. I'm like, oh, I could go metal. Like, I mean, there's the song Destroyer by Parkway Drive.
Okay. Never heard of it. I'll put that on.
Oh man.
I'll listen to that one.
When I'm working out, I don't listen to any music when I'm working out except for when I'm running because that sucks. I feel like I'm dying.
Yes.
And I need a little push at the end. I put that on and I run faster.
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But I came across Lunatic Soul within the past year.
Okay.
They are really neat. So it's called Summoning Dance. It's like 9 minutes long. Do you have subwoofers?
Not in here.
Oh.
Downstairs, but
You need good bass.
okay. Let's do this. Either way, we're gonna not listen to it on the podcast because of copyrights. So we'll come back and talk about it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll put the link in the description.
Yeah.
Check it out, and then we'll be right back.
Nice.
That song was incredible. Holy
You are
smokes.
recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, that song is what the hell? Okay, so it first started off in my brain that it was like just like a log cabin in the middle of the woods, like the fire was burning. It was like the outside, the smoke chimney was happening, and I like zoomed into it, and this guy, he's just eating at his table, and then he saw a light come on outside of the woods, so he ran and jumped on his horse and took off in a chase, not a chase, but like full speed ahead, and then encountered. It was like somewhat like the Nazgul in Lord of the Rings kind of thing, when Arwen was taking Frodo to Rivendell kind of thing, but he was full steam ahead, and then there was a couple other horsemen that was coming and chasing after him and causing him some issues to wherever he had to get to.
So that's from the album Through Shaded Woods.
I told you, bro. And it was like that's what I was saying. It was like nighttime. It was like the sun just crest the horizon or whatever. So the color changed from an orange color to more of a blue color in that time period. And so that's crazy talk. Yeah. And then like when it had the breakdown, like the first one, yeah, which one? The first one,
Yeah.
It was like conflict because like they had to cross over a frozen lake. There was like there's like a one portion on it that was like frozen lake, and he was able to traverse it very easily, but the other two guys weren't able to traverse it. They were like slipping and sliding, and he just went right over top of it. Yeah, it's just like, I've done this before.
Yeah.
You crazy people, this is my woods. I know how to make you get you up. So they just slipped and slid, and then he dropped them off there.
Yeah.
And then as it built back up to get to the second whatever, the horse ran into an arena
Hmm.
and went right up on stage. And then that was when the breakdown happened, the whole
Yeah.
arena. And then that was when all the other second breakdown, I think it was. And then the whole arena was packed out, like an arena in the middle of like this giant ass field,
That's awesome.
like a Super Bowl arena kind of arena.
Damn.
Yeah, packed out, lights, and then everyone was going bonkers dancing. And that's when he said that was at that
Like,
point where he was talking about
You always wanted to dance.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, poof, and I was like, oh my God, that's right. That's completely forgot that's the name of the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it was just nutso dancing for a long time. And then like the last little, like the view just went up to the sky because all the lights went out in the arena so that everyone could just focus on the stars in the sky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy this song. It hits in a good way. And especially, like I said, if you've got good speakers or good earbuds or headphones
Yeah.
that have good bass in them, when that bass really comes in, it's still like one note per measure, but it's like a pattern of 5. And so it's not like your typical 4/4
Right.
pop music type of scenario. And I just love it. And it's like a little just a little dissonance.
It's
And
definitely
just like,
different.
like, and it's just like, oh my God, it's so good. My brother's got a new truck with really good speakers. We turned that thing up to 11.
Yes.
And it's just like, yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna definitely put it downstairs in my surround sound and listen to it again.
you should. And
Yeah.
then the lyrics are awesome too,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the afterlife, and it's really cool. I just like that line: 3 stones on the right side, 3 stones on the left.
Right.
I don't know what that symbolizes.
I was like, I don't know what that means.
But it's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get that tattooed.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
7.
3 stones here, 3 stones there.
Yeah. That it was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that's a good wrap. I like
yeah,
it.
man.
We done an hour and 40 minutes. So
Nice.
bye everybody.